men don't tell us what to do, they ask questions. And tonight, I will pretend to be one of them. Meaning I will ask questions. And my first question is very simple. Are you happy? Are you rich? Are you healthy? Dear fellow Toastmasters, when I asked you this question, some of you gave me immediate response. But as I am a wise man for tonight, I took my powers to know that all of you answered two questions. And the first question you had to answer when I gave you my question was, compared to what? I asked you, are you happy? Compared to whom? Are you rich? Compared to whom? I could, for example, ask Wolfram. Wolfram, tell me, are you rich? Maybe.
I'm not rich.
Yeah, he's not rich. He is not rich. That's what he tells me. Why does he think that way? Probably because of his point of reference is with Donald Trump, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, you name it. If I ask somebody else, who of you would say he is rich? Is there anyone in here who is rich?
Money or whatever.
Yeah? You're rich, Larry. How come?
I'm rich in health.
Yeah?
I have my life.
Yes.
One more day above the grass.
Yeah?
I'm rich.
Yes? Very, very good. It's a very good example. So, basically the way we feel always depends on the standard we're comparing ourselves to. If you think about millions of people on this earth starving in this moment as I talk, who don't have any shelter, any electricity, or just clean water, then I think we are all rich, very rich. So what I want to talk about tonight, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guest, are standards. Standards that we have, standards that we hold. Standards that are different for all of us. But our happiness and every emotion we can possibly feel depends on them. First of all, what is a standard? A standard is something in my content that is like a rule. It's if, then. If I have 10,000 euro on my bank account, then I'm rich. If you kiss me, then you love me.
Very easy.
If you respect me, then you'll shake my hand. Things like that. Standards. Are there good standards and bad standards? I would say yes. Or to put it in other terms, there are some standards that are more useful than others. Given the example with the question, are you rich? Let's go to another thing. Are you happy? Are you happy? Ellen, are you happy? Are you happy?
Yes, quite happy.
How do you know?
I know, but I'm not sad, so I presume I'm happy.
You presume you're happy because you're not sad. How do you know you're not sad? Maybe you're sad. You don't know. How do you know you're sad? What has to happen for you to get sad?
Feel it. Feel something.
What has to happen in order for you to feel that? What do you have to do? What do you have to think? What has to happen in the outside world? What does somebody has to say? Whatever. You name it.
Lose the train.
You lose the train. All right. Very good example. If you lose the train, then you're sad. Okay. What about you? When are you sad?
So, at the moment, losing trains is also a good example.
Okay, you would lose. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for this example. Yeah? So that's their standard. They say, okay, if I don't get the train, then I'm sad. Is this a good standard? I would say no. Because can you control the trains? No, you can't. You know, sometimes you are there on time, you know, and there's no train coming. Or just left. So, a standard that is good, a standard that's positive, is one that we choose. So the question is, if there are good standards and bad standards, why do we have bad standards? Why don't we have all excellent standards? All standards that we can control? It's because standards are normally just picked up. We learn them, consciously or unconsciously, from our parents, from our children, or during our childhood, from our peers, from our friends, from our family, for everybody we are talking to or have talked to. We tend to adopt them. In our early childhood, we do that much quicker than later. We learn what kind of behavior we get rewarded for and which we get punished for. And therefore we adopt our standards. I give you an example from my own life. When I grew up, my mother told me something, I think she didn't do it consciously, but unconsciously, which was, in order to be happy, you have to be independent. You know, she always focused that she had her own money, her own bank account. You know, she always told me how she made it from the small village and becoming a doctor and moving to Berlin and all that. To be independent was very, very important for her. So I picked that up from her and I said for myself, independence, that's the way to go. If I'm independent, then I'm happy. And actually, it worked well for me for quite a while. You know, I went to work pretty early. You know, I worked during my time in school in order to support myself. I moved out of the house of my parents quite early. I went to Australia for a year, you know, backpacking, and then I went to Southeast Asia for half a year, and I went to Egypt for half a year, and all that. You know, always being independent. It was just having as much stuff as I can carry with me. It was very, very important, and it worked out completely fine until something happened. Until I met a girl. Actually, I met her before, but anyway, I met this girl, and everything was fine in the beginning because she was living up in the north, 220 kilometers from my house. We saw each other, let's say, once a month, so I had all my independence I wanted, and of course some companionship once in a while. But things move on, you know, relationship moved on, and sooner or later we decided to move in together. Remember, my rule was independence equals happiness. And there were some challenges. Not because we didn't love each other, not because we were fighting all the time, but just because our standards were so different from each other. And we didn't know it. What was her standard? Her standard was, to be happy in a relationship, you have to support each other. You have to be there for each other. Which is quite, I mean, it's not nothing new, nothing, you know, outrageous. But for me it was completely different. So what happened? For example, she asked me to help her. I said, like, oh, come on girl, I mean, can you do it on your own? You know, you're old enough, you know the way, you know, hell, why does she always depend on me? You know, the other way around, when I made appointments without consulting her or asking for her appointments or her plans for the weekend, you know, we were always fighting. Luckily, I came across this concept of standards. And then one day we just sat down and talked about it. And I asked her a very simple question. I just asked her, tell me, how do you know that you are loved? How do you know that? How do you know when somebody loves you? And it was very revealing, because she gave me a whole list. You know, we men, we always like lists, like a recipe book. You know? Always something you can put up out of your sleeve, you know, you take, okay, what can I do next? Yeah? Because the problem is that normally we judge others by our standards, not by their standards. So as long as we don't know their standards, how can we possibly think we can, you know, connect with them, give them the feeling they want? So that's why I all ask you to explore this topic, to talk about others, about their standards. You don't have to call it standards. You can say, let's say you're talking to your child. You can say, what has to happen in order for you to feel happy? Or you can say, what does a great mom has to do? From your perspective. It will be revealing for you. Just blow your mind what they will tell you. And today, I want to end with a question, and that is, what can you do in order to make sure that the second and fourth Wednesday of every month, this place, this room, is the best place to be when you are in Berlin at this time. Thank you very much, and back to you.